Atmanirbhar Bharat. So I have chosen this topic because yesterday I have come across a question about Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? A prelims question where there were two options. First option was Atmanirbhar Bharat involves 20 lakh crores of fund, which is around 10% of India's GDP, right? This was the first option. And the second option is it focuses on Make in India. It focuses on Make in India. The second option is it says it's based on Make in India, or it focuses on Make in India by budgetary allocation only. So these were the two options. So here the thing which we have to know is the 20 lakh crores, the 10% of GDP, that money is not completely budgetary allocation. Only some of that money is budgetary allocation and the other is credit creation. Most of the initiatives in the Atmanirbhar Bharat, scheme are loans related schemes. Government is not directly giving money from the Consolidated Fund of India, right? Most of the schemes that were initiated under Atmanirbhar Bharat are credit creation schemes. This point we have to be careful, right? The 20 lakh crore package which the government of India speaks about, in that only some amount is out of the budgetary allocation. Only some amount is from budget or from the Consolidated Fund of India. The rest of the amount is credit creation, right? Loans to MSMEs, loans to farmers, loans to industries, right? So those loans don't come under the Consolidated Fund of India, right? It is the banks which give those loans to the MSMEs or the farmers. So the complete 20 lakh crores is not government's money. This point we have to be careful, right? The rest of the points is Atmanirbhar Bharat focuses on 4 L's, right? 4 L's. We have already discussed about this. These 4 L's are land, labor, liquidity and loss. LAWS, loss. So these are the 4 things: land, labor, liquidity and loss. So regarding land reforms, right? Focus on land reforms. See if any states have taken significant land reforms, right? Land leasing, just go about the Model Land Leasing Act. There is an act called Land Leasing Act, right? Just go through that. And also whether land is a state subject or a center subject. Land is basically a state subject, right? In this way, all the dimensions with respect to land, we have to be thorough. And the second one is labor. So labor means codification of labor laws. That is very important, right? So codification of labor laws. What are those 4 laws? Are any new or good initiatives being taken in those 4, right? One is on wages, one is on industrial relations, one is on social security, and other one is on occupational health and safety. So these are the 4 things. Just see if any new kind of workers are being included in any of the 4 things, right? For example, if you take Code on Social Security, for the first time, gig economy workers and platform workers are also being given the social security, right? So just go through those codification of labor laws. And coming to liquidity, number of initiatives were taken up by RBI as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Number of initiatives, right? The interest rates or repo rates were reduced so much by the RBI, right? LTRO, long-term repo operations. This was also taken up by RBI. Operation Twist was also taken up by RBI. For NBFCs, partial credit guarantee scheme was taken up. Just find about that. For MSMEs, emergency credit line guarantee fund. Emergency credit line guarantee fund. I've asked to see this yesterday also. So that was also initiated by RBI only, right? In this way, number of things were done with respect to liquidity, right? Go through all those things. And the last one is loss. The 4th L is loss, LAWS, right? Essential Commodities Act was amended. Essential Commodities Act was amended to improve agricultural sector, right? Just see what are those amendments in that ordinance. And contract farming was talked about, right? Contract farming. APMC acts were also amended, saying that farmers need not sell everything to APMCs only. They can directly sell to the private people. That is contract farming. Let's go through what is this contract farming. What is the Model Contract Farming Act which is there, right? Tamil Nadu was the first state to go for Contract Farming Act, right? That was the first state to enact a law on contract farming, right? So in this way, we have to cover all the things about land, labor, liquidity and loss, because these were specifically mentioned in Atmanirbhar Bharat. The dimensions which I have suggested to you right now, try to focus or approach in these dimensions, and also if you get any new dimensions, just go through those also. Also, the government or the Prime Minister in his Atmanirbhar Bharat speech spoke about 5 pillars, right? Economy, infrastructure, demography, demand and tech-driven system, right? One of the component is tech-driven governance system. That means he was focusing on e-governance. So all the e-governance initiatives of government which are very much in news, we have to be thorough with them, right? All the e-governance initiatives which may be related to law and order, which may be related to women, which may be related to ration cards, right? All the schemes, all the e-governance initiatives, we have to be thorough with. So that is one way how to prepare. Then demography. Demography means demography dividend, right? Skill development, challenges in higher education sector. These areas we have to focus. Draft National Education Policy 2019, right? So lot of scope is there in this Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? It touches almost all the sectors of economy. So we have to be thorough with all these things, right? And then there is also a scheme under Atmanirbhar Bharat which gives free ration to 8 crore migrant workers. You might have seen about this scheme, right? Free ration to 8 crore migrant workers who don't have ration cards, right? This scheme is different from Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. That is different and this is different, right? Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana is basically giving more ration for ration card holders. There are almost 80 crore ration card holders in the country. For those 80 crore ration card holders, extra ration is being given under Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. However, this scheme which is different from Anna Yojana, this is about giving free ration to those who don't have ration cards, right? Those who don't have ration cards and those who are migrant workers and poor, right? These two are different. If there is any statement saying Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana includes giving free rations to non-ration card holders, that is wrong. Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana only deals with ration card holders. That is one area where we have to be focused. And MSME and agricultural sector were very much focused in this Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Lot of initiatives for MSME and agri sector. Just go through all those. So overall objective of Atmanirbhar Bharat is making globally competitive supply chains, right? Making our local supply chains into a globally competitive supply chains and not import substitution, right? Atmanirbhar Bharat is not import substitution. So all these points we have to know. The 20 lakh crore is not completely coming from the budgetary allocation. So much of that money is credit creation, right? So number of loans that was also included in this 20 lakh crore, right? That is the first point. Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana is different from free ration to non-ration card holders. That is one point. Land, labor, liquidity, loss, and the 5 pillars, right? These are some areas how we have to focus Atmanirbhar Bharat. We'll be discussing this in the coming days also, like some topics related to Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now the second scheme is Pradhana Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Pradhana Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, Matsya. So this is related to fisheries development. Implementing ministry is Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry. Previously, this ministry was under agricultural ministry, this department. But now there is a separate ministry that was created for fisheries and animal husbandry, right? So this is being implemented by Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry, not Agricultural Ministry. So what for is this scheme? This scheme is for sustainable and responsible development of fisheries sector, right? This is for sustainable and responsible development of fisheries sector development. And this is also related to blue revolution, right? Blue revolution in India, just like green revolution, which is for agriculture, blue revolution is for aquaculture, right? For the fisheries. So to develop the fisheries sector and make the fisheries sector a complete value chain, this Matsya Sampada Yojana scheme is being implemented, right? Developing fisheries sector means not only improving the production potential, but this scheme also takes care of social, physical and economic security for the fishermen. This scheme also includes social, economic and physical security, that means pensions, accident insurance, all these for the fishermen are also included in this Matsya Sampada Yojana, right? So this point we have to know. This is not only about developing fisheries sector, but the social security for fishermen is also there under this. Apart from this, the normal points, employment generation of 15 lakhs, boosting the investments, boosting the exports, all these are there, right? Now, two facts which I found out which are important for regarding fisheries for prelims is India is second largest producer of fisheries, right? India is second largest producer of fisheries. India is not the leading producer of fisheries, right? It is the second largest. First is China. So this point we have to be clear. And the second thing is there are two types of fisheries in India: inland fisheries and marine fisheries, right? Inland fisheries and marine fisheries. Inland fisheries means those fishes that are grown in ponds, right? Lakes, right? So in this kind of atmosphere or in this kind of areas within the land, these will be grown. They are called inland fisheries. Marine fisheries means in the seas, right? In the seas. So these two are two different types of fisheries that are predominant in India. So which among this is mostly contributing to the economy in India? It is the inland fisheries that is dominating, not the marine fisheries, right? So in inland fisheries is mostly contributing to the economy compared to marine fisheries. So these two trends we have to be thorough, guys. So India is the second leading producer of fisheries, and inland fisheries is more than marine fisheries in India. So this is about Matsya Sampada Yojana. And the third thing is police reform. So we'll just discuss an important judgment of Supreme Court which happened in 2006 regarding police reforms. So police reforms is important because this is a long pending reform, and also recently we have seen many instances where custodial deaths are taking place, right? So in this context, police reforms is very much important for us. So Prakash Singh judgment, Prakash Singh case, this is related to police reform. So this itself can be a question, saying Prakash Singh judgment recently related to, or Prakash Singh judgment in the match the following they can give. They can ask Prakash Singh, Keshavananda, Minerva Mills, and the other side 3 options, and they can ask us to match it. So we need to know the first thing, Prakash Singh case is related to police reforms. Now we'll see the 7 directives that were given by Supreme Court in this Prakash Singh judgment for police reforms, right? 7 directives were given by Supreme Court. First is to establish a state security commission. What is this state security commission for? To ensure there is no political pressure on the police, to evaluate the performance of the police, right? For that, state security commission has to be set up, right? This is the first directive. Second directive is ensuring security of tenure for DGP. Ensuring security of tenure for DGP. For DGP, minimum 2 years tenure has to be there. This was also given as directive by Supreme Court. The third thing is, apart from DGP, also other important officers like SPs, Superintendent of Police, such kind of important officers also have to be given the security of tenure. This was the third directive. The fourth directive was to separate investigation and law and order. These two activities should be separated. For example, the present one of the major problem is both investigation and law and order being taken up by police only. The same police person has to be actively in controlling the law and order. The same person is being assigned even for investigation. This is overburdening on the police, because of which efficiency is coming down. So separating investigation and law and order. This was also a suggestion or a directive given by Supreme Court. Setting up police establishment board. This is the next thing. Now, what is this police establishment board? For any transfer, posting or promotion of the police officers, this police establishment board will take care, right? Now, promotion, transfers and postings. These are some ways how the politicians can affect the police, right? They can control the police. So postings, transfer and promotion need to be, the decisions need to be taken by a third party. That is better rather than keeping it in the government's hand. That's why Supreme Court gave a directive for setting up police establishment board, right? And the next thing is police complaints authority. Also to set up a police complaints authority to register any public complaints about police, right? As of now, presently, we don't have a proper grievance redressal mechanism, right? If we are not happy with the service of the police, we don't have a proper grievance redressal mechanism, right? So that's why the Supreme Court in 2006 in Prakash Singh judgment gave a directive for setting up police complaints authority also. And also a National Security Commission is also the Supreme Court has recommended. What is this National Security Commission? It is for central police organizations, right? Police is a state subject. Under the state, there is the police force, but center also has some central police organizations, right? The central armed police forces are there, right? So all these will be taken care by National Security Commission, just like the State Security Commission. So these are the 7 directives, right? So Prakash Singh case related to police reforms in 2006, Supreme Court gave 7 directives. One is State Security Commission. Second is minimum 2 years security of tenure for DGP. In the similar way, security of tenure for SP. Separating investigation and law and order. Setting up police establishment board which will take care of promotions and transfers. Police complaints authority for grievance redressal by the public, and National Security Commission. Right? However, unfortunately, no one state also has followed all the directives of the Supreme Court, right? No state has implemented all the directives of Supreme Court. Some states have implemented some of the directives given by the Supreme Court, right? So this is one point we have to know. And community policing is one term which we have to know. Community policing. What is community policing? Community policing means police and public together taking up the policing activities, right? Public cooperating with the police in the law and order issues. So this is called community policing. There is a community policing initiative which is very famous in Tamil Nadu. It's an initiative of Tamil Nadu. Just find out what is that, because this is important with respect to governance. And the other important problem in police is, which we all know, shortage of police personnel. Many posts are vacant. Because of shortage of police personnel, they are being overburdened, right? This is there. And gender sensitization is also a problem in police organizations, right? Gender sensitization, making the polices or the police stations women friendly. There the government is still taking efforts, but there is a long way ahead yet, right? In this context, also go through particulars of Disha Act. Disha Act that was implemented by our Andhra Pradesh government, right? What is this Disha Act? How is it different from the Nirbhaya Act? In 2013, an act was passed called Nirbhaya Act, right? So that is the act, and there is another act for children called POCSO, Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act. These two are the acts that govern any crimes on women and children, right? Apart from this, now we have Disha Act also. There are some strong punishments in this Disha Act which are not there in the Nirbhaya Act and the POCSO Act, right? We'll take up in this topic in the coming days. Just find out what is this Disha Act, right? Now, apart from this Prakash Singh case, there are other committees also that are related to police reforms. There is Soli Sorabji Committee. There is Mali Math Committee. Second, ARC also suggested some. And NPA, National Police Academy guidelines were also there, right? So if not, we go through all the recommendations of this police, at least we have to know Mali Math Committee means it's related to police, law and order and criminal justice, right? If we know at least this much, it's useful for prelims. If you have time, just go through the guidelines also, right? In similar way, Soli Sorabji, that is also related to law and order and criminal justice, right? For prelims, we need to just know the name of the committee and what is it related to, and if possible, some important guidelines also. So this is all about police reforms, and recently a committee was set up by Ministry of Home Affairs for criminal justice reforms, right? A committee was set up by the Ministry of Home Affairs for criminal justice system reforms, right? So this is everything about police reforms. And the next topic is NIA Amendment Act 2019, National Investigation Agency Amendment Act 2019. So initially this National Investigation Agency was set up in the year 2008 after the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. After the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, this NIA body was formed in 2008 under a separate act called NIA Act, right? This is first thing we have to know, right? They can ask a question about NIA where they can say NIA is formed under Indian Police Act, or NIA is formed under UAPA Act, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. That's not the case. NIA has a special act called NIA Act, which was enacted in 2008. Now that act is amended now in 2019. Right, so we have to know what are the new amendments that were brought, right? What are the new changes? Those we have to know, right? Because the question in the questions, they can give the old provision for NIA, right? If we didn't update ourselves by going through this amendment, then we may not be knowing the new changes, right? We might think those options are correct. So that's the case. And now one basic difference between NIA and CBI. Right, CBI is also an investigative agency in India. Now, one basic difference between NIA and CBI is to take up any case in any particular state, CBI needs consent of the state government, right? To take up any case in any state, CBI needs the consent of the state government. However, NIA does not require any consent of any state, right? NIA can take suo moto cognizance of terrorist activities in any part of the India, right? Related to terrorism, any activity that took place in any part of India, National Investigative Agency can take it up, right? It need not require the consent of the state government. That point we have to be careful, right? And also, can NIA take up any case? No. NIA cannot take up all the cases. In that particular NIA Act itself, scheduled offences were listed. Only offences related to those issues only NIA can take up cases, right? Murder cases, rape charges, these kind of cases which fall under IPC, they don't come under the purview of NIA, right? NIA's mandate is not for such offences. right? That we have to know. NIA's mandate is primarily for counter-terrorism, right? Counter-terrorism. There are specified scheduled offences in the NIA Act. Only for those acts or offences, NIA will take up. Now, the recent amendments that were brought is, firstly, list of those acts has been increased. List of those offences which NIA can take up has been increased, right? Not only counter-terrorism, but also human trafficking, cyber terrorism, counterfeit currencies, illegal arms manufacturing, all these were also brought under NIA now, right? All these were also brought under NIA now, because if we see counterfeit currency, illegal arms manufacturing, human trafficking, cyber terrorism, these all are organized crimes which will indirectly help terrorism. All these activities will indirectly help terrorism. That's why these were also included under NIA. Right? This is the first point we have to know. Now the second point is jurisdiction of NIA was also increased. Now recently we have discussed that just now NIA can take up case in any part of India, right? In any state. State's consent is also not required. Now the jurisdiction of NIA was extended even outside India, right? Even to outside India also. So NIA can take up cases even outside the India. However, three conditions are there. First is not all cases. As we have discussed before, only those cases which are scheduled offences under NIA Act. Only those offences. Second, offence should have been committed in India. Right? That offence should have been committed in India. Only in that case, NIA's jurisdiction will extend to other countries also. And also, this power of NIA is subjected to international agreements and laws and legislations of other countries. Right? So, no doubt NIA has jurisdiction outside India also. However, not for all the cases, only those cases that are listed and only those cases that happened in India, and also the powers are subjected to international rules and regulations and that particular country's rules and regulations also. So this we have to know. So this is about jurisdiction of NIA. And the third important amendment that was made is, previously only state governments used to set up special courts for NIA, right? After the NIA does the investigation, prosecution and submits the evidences and everything to the court, a special court will take it up. However, previously those special courts were set up only by that particular state. But now even central government can set up special courts, right? Even the central government also can set up special courts for NIA. So these are the three amendments that were made. First is list of cases was expanded, right? The domain of NIA was increased, trafficking, illegal arms trading, cyber terrorism, counterfeit currency, all these were also involved. And jurisdiction of NIA was increased beyond India. However, conditions are there, we have discussed them. And also central and state government both can set up special courts now. So this is everything about NIA amendment, guys. And there is another portal called GEM, Government E-Marketplace, right? GEM, Government E-Marketplace. This is also important for us. So this we can be seeing almost all the time in business page. So this GEM is basically a public procurement portal. Simply saying, it is a public procurement portal. That means any central government body or any state government body, any department or any ministry or any public sector company, if they want to buy anything, they use this portal. For official purposes. So this is a one-stop national public procurement portal, right? So GEM is basically a one-stop national public procurement portal. Who uses them? Central government and state government, ministries, departments and public sector undertakings. Anyone can use this government e-marketplace portal for public procurement, right? So this portal is under the control of Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? It's under the control of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Now, another thing is this GEM portal procurement was made mandatory for central public sector undertakings, right? For the central public sector undertakings, this GEM portal was made mandatory. That means central public sector companies have to compulsorily buy from the GEM portal only if they want to buy anything. Let's say they need to buy some cement, or they need to buy some steel, or they need to buy any raw material, or they need to buy any intermediary goods or finished products. They should buy only through GEM portal, right? So that rule was made. So this GEM portal major objective is to bring transparency and efficiency in public procurement, right? Just imagine, this is one area and crucial area where corruption can take place, where there is very much scope for corruption, right? If any official wants to do corruption during public procurement, they may claim that they have bought 100 kg of cement, but they might be buying only 50 kg of cement, and the other money will be siphoned off by these corrupted officials, right? So to eliminate corruption and bring transparency in public procurement, this portal was brought. Now this is in the news very much because a new rule has been included. What is that? Country of origin, right? You might have seen this in the newspapers. So the new rule that was made in this GEM is all the products that are being sold in this GEM portal, they need to compulsorily display country of origin, right? From which country are they coming? That country of origin has to be compulsorily mentioned by the products. So this step was taken in the context of China-India border dispute, right? Because of China-India border dispute, this step was taken. And also to support Make in India initiative and Atmanirbhar Bharat, also this country of origin tag was made mandatory, right? So to focus more on Make in India products, those products that are made in India rather than made in other countries like China, right? So country of origin should be there mandatorily for all the products that are being sold in GE. So these are some points about government e-marketplace. This is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? So these are the governance topics for today. And now we'll take up the environmental topics also, guys. So the first topic is Goga Beel. Goga Beel, G-O-G-A-B-E-E-L, Goga Beel. So this Goga Beel is about Bihar's first community reserve, right? So this Goga Beel is basically Bihar's first community reserve. So this is basically an Oxbow Lake. We'll discuss in detail what is community reserve. So this is Bihar's first community reserve, which was declared last year, right? So that's why it is important for us, because they can simply ask Goga Beel recently seen in news, situated in or located in, right? Bihar, Andhra Pradesh or Assam, northeast states can be given, because we have another bridge called Bogibeel Bridge in Arunachal Pradesh, right? So Bogibeel is different and Goga Beel is different. Goga Beel is Bihar's first community reserve, right? This is basically an Oxbow Lake, guys. Oxbow Lake might have been covered for you in geography. Oxbow Lake is basically formed during depositional phase of rivers. When the rivers meander, these Oxbow Lakes are formed, right? These Oxbow Lakes are in the shape of crescent. We all might have studied this in geography, right? Crescent shape, crescent moon shape lakes will be formed, right? Because of depositional feature of the rivers and meandering, right? So this Goga Beel is one such Oxbow Lake in Bihar. And also this is a very important bird area. This is an important bird area. We also discussed about an important bird area 3 days back, right? So because of an oil leak in Assam, I have told about a wildlife sanctuary called Dibru-Saikhowa, right? That Dibru-Saikhowa is also an important bird area, right? Similarly, this Gogabil Lake is also an important bird area, and two important rivers also flow through this Gogabil. One is Mahananda River and the other is Ganga River. Mahananda River and Ganga River. Both these rivers flow through this Gogabil, right? So now we'll see what is this community reserve. Community reserve is one such protected area, right? It is a protected area under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It is a protected area under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. What exactly it is? It is like a buffer zone. It is like a buffer zone. That means imagine there is a restricted and protected forest area. Right? Imagine there is a restricted and protected forest area. And imagine a wildlife sanctuary or a national park nearby. Now, between this wildlife sanctuary or national park, between this wildlife sanctuary and this protected forest, the intermediary region is called community reserve, right? It is like a buffer zone. It's like a buffer zone between protected forests and the wildlife sanctuaries. The region between protected forests and the wildlife sanctuaries, right? They are also called migration corridors also. They are also called migration corridors, right? They are like a link between wildlife sanctuaries and protected forests, reserved forests, right? In reserved forests or protected forests, no other activities are allowed. But in this community reserve, which is like a buffer zone, other activities are also allowed, right? So some important points here is private ownership of land is also allowed in this community reserve, right? Private ownership, because I have seen a question where they said Gogabil recently seen in news. First statement is it is Bihar's first community reserve. That is true. Second statement is they said this is completely under the control of state government. That's not the case, right? Private ownership of land is also possible in this community reserve. Private ownership is also there. That means private people can own the land, and some tribals also live in these regions. Human habitation is also there. Some human activities also take place here. However, preservation or conservation efforts will be more. That's why it's called community reserve, right? Now, who declares this community reserve? That we have to know. State government will declare the community reserve after consulting the central government, right? After consulting the union government, state government will declare the community reserve. So, in that way, Bihar's state government has declared Gogabil as Bihar's first community reserve. Now, this is first community reserve for Bihar, but not the first community reserve for the country. There are already 127 community reserves in India, right? There are already 127 community reserves in India, and Meghalaya is the state with largest number of community reserves, right? Meghalaya is the state with largest number of community reserves. Meghalaya is also famous for root bridges. Just find out what the name of the trees, right? Roots and branches of the trees are used for bridges in Meghalaya. They are very famous and they have so much tourism potential also. Meghalaya has the number of highest community reserves, and private ownership is allowed here, right? We have discussed this before. So this is about Gogabil, Bihar's first community reserve. It's an Oxbow Lake. Oxbow Lake means crescent-shaped lake, which is formed because of river meandering and deposition of sediments. It's an important bird area. Mahananda and Ganga rivers flow through it. Community reserve means it's a buffer zone or a link between wildlife sanctuaries and reserved protected forests, right? It's a protected area under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Who declares this? It is the state government that declares the community reserves. There are already 127 community reserves in India. Meghalaya has the highest number, and private ownership is also allowed, right? So these are some points. Now we'll discuss about CITES. CITES Convention. CITES. This was also in news. We have discussed this in brief before, but some important points are there. We'll take them up today. So CITES is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna. CITES is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna. Right? This is important because illegal wildlife trade is increasing in the recent times. Right? Illegal wildlife trade is increasing in the recent times. So that's why this CITES agreement is very important for us. In India, we have a body to take care of illegal wildlife trade. The name of that body is Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. Just find details about it. We have already discussed this as a part of crash course. Just go through it. So similarly, CITES is an international convention for stopping the illegal trade. Now, whose initiative is it? Is it initiative of United Nations? No. Is it initiative of UNEP? No. It's an initiative of IUCN. It is an initiative of IUCN. These are the areas where they can confuse us, guys. Right? They can say CITES convention is related to international trade. Fine and good. Then they might say this is a convention that took place in some UNFCCC summit or some convention on biological diversity. No. It's an initiative of IUCN. Right? International Union for Conservation of Nature. This is the body that gives status, endangered, critical endangered status for animal species and plant species, right? So that IUCN's initiative is this CITES, right? Exporting, importing, transshipment or possessing, right? Exporting, importing, transit, transshipment and possession. That means owning. All these are not, or all these are prohibited for endangered species of wild flora and fauna. So the CITES objective is to prevent exportation, importation, transit, transshipment and possession of endangered species, right? So this is the mandate of CITES. And this CITES has 3 appendixes, right? 3 will be there, 3 appendices. We already discussed what is schedule or appendix of a convention, right? These are basically the list of species that are protected. So there are 3 appendices, appendix 1, 2 and 3. Appendix 1 consists of those species that are very much threatened to extinction, right? That are very much threatened to extinction. Similarly, appendix 2 and 3, decreased level of severity compared to appendix 1. Now recently, 2 animals were added to appendix 1. Right? Last year, 2 animal species were added to appendix 1. One is Indian star tortoise. One is Indian star tortoise. And the second one is Asian small clawed otter, O-E-E-R. Asian small clawed, C-L-A-W-E-D, clawed, O-T-T-E-R. These names might sound boring and very different, but yeah, we have to just have an idea because Indian star tortoise is there, right? So these 2 species were recently added in appendix 1. That means in that list of species which are threatened with extinction, right? So that's why these 2 species, we just need to know what is the IUCN status. This is about CITES convention, right? CITES convention. Composite Water Management Index. Composite Water Management Index. So this is published by Niti Aayog. Similarly, Healthy States Progressive India. Healthy States Progressive India. That report is also published by Niti Aayog. Similarly, Delta Rankings for Aspirational Districts. That is also published by Niti Aayog. In this way, a number of indexes are published by Niti Aayog. Just go through all of them. Now we'll discuss Composite Water Management Index. In this Composite Water Management Index, Niti Aayog tries to rank different states based on their water management performance, right? It tries to assess the water management efforts in various states and give ranks to them, right? That is the purpose of this Composite Water Management Index. Now, under this, Niti Aayog says India is water stressed but not water scarce, right? This point we have to know, because if there is any statement saying India is a water scarce country, that is wrong. India is still not water scarce. India is water stressed. However, some regions in India are getting water scarce and these numbers are increasing. But overall, the country wise, if we see, still India is water stressed, not water scarce. This point we have to be careful. And it divides the states into three categories: Himalayan and Northeast states as one category, non-Himalayan states as one category, and UTs, Union Territories, as one category, right? So the general trend we can see in the recent indices are, they are dividing the states into 2 to 3 categories, because we cannot compare Andhra Pradesh with Meghalaya or Tripura or Mizoram, right? That's why states are being divided and rankings are being given separately. Now, non-Himalayan states are usually the bigger states like Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, UP, and all these states, right? So Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh continue to be the leading states in this index, right? Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh continue to be leading in this Composite Water Management Index, right? This point we have to know. And some of the parameters on which Niti Aayog gives the rankings are community participation. How effectively community is participating in water conservation. That is seen. On-farm water use. That means agricultural water efficiency. How efficiently water is being used in the agriculture. That is also seen, right? And then how are the government policies and what are some initiatives launched by the government. That is also a parameter. And restoration of water bodies. How effectively governments are trying to restore the water bodies. This is also there. So these are some parameters. Just we have to have an idea. Need not remember in detail about every parameter. Just we need to know what are the parameters, right? So this report or this Composite Water Management Index speaks about some important initiatives taken by different states. First thing is Mission Kakatiya by Telangana. This index mentioned about that mission. And the second thing is Mukhyamantri Jal Swalabhan Abhiyan. Mukhyamantri Jal Swalabhan Abhiyan in Rajasthan. It's called Musa. Musa scheme in Rajasthan. Find about that also. Why did the index mention about that? And the index also mentioned about Samagra Siksha Jal Suraksha Initiative. Samagra Siksha Jal Suraksha Initiative. Just find out what this initiative is, right? This is an initiative of MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource and Development. Samagra Siksha Jal Suraksha means there is a scheme called Samagra Siksha Abhiyan, right? There is a scheme called Samagra Siksha Abhiyan related to schools. Now this Samagra Siksha Jal Suraksha campaign is to increase awareness about water conservation at the school level, in the schools, right? For that, this Samagra Siksha Jal Suraksha campaign was brought. So this we have to know, this is an MHRD initiative. And also Jakhni village in UP. Jakhni village in UP. This was also told by this index as a model village. A model village for water conservation. Just find out what's so special about this Jakhni village in UP. And water is an important topic for this year's prelims, guys, right? If we see with respect to monsoons perspective, this year we got good monsoons, right? We got in fact somewhat excess monsoon. Just find out how much is it excess of LPA, long period average. There is a term called long period average related to monsoons. Jal Jeevan mission is there. Find out what is this Jal Jeevan mission, right? Jal Shakti Abhiyan is there. A separate ministry was created called Ministry of Jal Shakti. What is Namame Gange mission? Different local water harvesting techniques. In Rajasthan, water harvesting is called by one name. In Ladakh, water harvesting is called by another name. In Andhra Pradesh, it has another name, right? In Northeast, it has another name. Find out what are these local water harvesting techniques of every state, right? They can ask directly those things, right? So this is all about water, guys, and these are today's topics. If we see today's newspaper, there are some topics which I found useful. First is the political turmoil in Rajasthan. The Rajasthan High Court gave a judgment to the speaker to delay his judgment on disqualification, right? According to anti-defection law, who takes the decisions? Speaker takes the decisions. But what did Rajasthan High Court do? It asked the speaker to wait for some days and don't disqualify them now itself. Now the Rajasthan speaker has gone to Supreme Court citing Kiloto Holohan judgment. Kiloto Holohan judgment. What did this judgment say? This judgment said speaker's decision regarding to defections comes under judicial review. However, judiciary will only enter after speaker has taken the decision. But if we see the Rajasthan case, High Court is coming into this defections issue even before Supreme Court even before the speaker took a decision, right? That's why speaker went to the Supreme Court. So here we need to know all these dimensions. What is Kiloto Holohan? What is this anti-defection, right? Separation of powers is also involved here. What is Article 212? Just find out what is this Article 212, right? So this is all about that Rajasthan High Court issue and defections issue. Second thing is Mithila Painting. In today's newspaper, Mithila Painting was also there. This is also called Madhubala Painting, right? There's an article about Mithila Painting artist, Mask Man of Bihar. So this Mithila Painting belongs to Bihar. This was already asked in prelims, right? Similar to this paintings, we have other paintings, right? This year, Jharkhand got its first geographical indicator and it's a painting, Soharai Korovar painting. Similarly, Telangana got Telia Rumal, a geographical indicator. This way, find out these paintings and all, guys. And there was also a statement given by SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India. SEBI chief has given a statement saying, why not invite retail investors into government securities? When we were discussing about G-Secs, I told you that G-Secs are the papers which government gives to the markets for money. However, government doesn't give this G-Secs directly to the people, right? It gives to the banks, and that too RBI gives to the banks on the behalf of government. But now SEBI chief is recommending, why not directly give this G-Secs to retail investors? That means normal investors who all invest in shares. Why not open this G-Secs for retail investors? So the point we have to know here is G-Secs only given to banks till now, right? G-Secs not given directly to the people, or they are not directly traded in share market. That is one thing we have to know. IT minister spoke about data protection law in one of the meeting of G20 digital economy ministers meeting. In one of the G20 digital economy ministers meeting, our IT minister spoke about data protection law. So we have to know Sri Krishna committee, right? Sri Krishna committee, that is related to personal data protection law. That was the committee which made the draft. Find out what are the provisions of data protection law, right? And also World Health Organization was in the news like anything. US was making so many allegations on World Health Organization, right? Find out where is the headquarters of World Health Organization. Any recent initiatives taken by World Health Organization, right? What is this Solidarity Trail? It's an initiative of World Health Organization, right? Solidarity Trail related to COVID pandemic. What is this Solidarity Trail of WHO? Just find out. And Pakistan-Afghanistan Transit Trade Agreement. This was also in the news. There is a border between India and Pakistan called Attari Wagah border. Attari Wagah border, right, in Punjab. Now Pakistan is allowing Afghanistan to take their goods and go to India through Pakistan, right? Through this border. So Afghanistan is getting a trade route to India. So just find out what is this Pakistan-Afghanistan transit trade agreement, right? And there was also a report by Association of Democratic Reforms which was saying that 24% of Rajya Sabha members have criminal charges. So criminalization of politics. There was a recent Supreme Court judgment about criminalization of politics, guys, right? There were some 2 to 3 important things that were 2 to 3 important directives that were given by Supreme Court in the recent judgment on criminalization of politics, right? One of the provision is it asked the political parties to tell reasons why they have selected a candidate with criminal charges, right? They have to tell the reason. Knowing that they have criminal charges, still why did they select those, right? In this way, some directives were given by Supreme Court with respect to criminalization of politics. Just go through them. And China-Bhutan border dispute. China-Bhutan border dispute, eastern part of Bhutan, China is trying to claim it now, right? An important forest sanctuary is there here, Sakteng Forest Sanctuary, right? The name is Sakteng, S-A-K-T-E-N-G, Sakteng Forest Sanctuary. So this is located in Bhutan, that we have to know, right? The border dispute is also important, but this we have to know for sure for prelims. And Minority Affairs Minister, yesterday he made a statement saying, after Triple Talaq law is being implemented, there is 82% decrease in Triple Talaq cases. So what is this Triple Talaq? Supreme Court also gave a judgment on Triple Talaq, and then the government passed a legislation on Triple Talaq. Are all the forms of Triple Talaq banned? No. Only one kind of Triple Talaq is banned, that is Talaq-e-Biddat, right? Not all there are other forms of Talaq also. Those are not banned by Supreme Court, or those are not banned even by the government, right? Only this Talaq-e-Biddat is banned. That we have to know. In this way, some important points just get to know. And there was a very good article about higher education reforms in today's editorial, which is useful for mains also. Just go through it, right? And Kashmir's internet connectivity issue, right? They don't have 4G connectivity. Even now they have only 2G connectivity. Now there is a judgment in the month of January, which is called Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, right? Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India. This is about internet connectivity in Kashmir. Now Supreme Court gave an interesting statement there saying, access to internet is important for fundamental rights. Because the Kashmir people are not having access to internet, fundamental rights are being violated. But it did not say access to internet is a fundamental right, right? Those two are different things. So just go through that judgment. However, Kerala High Court said right to internet is access to internet is a fundamental right under Article 21. Kerala High Court gave a judgment like that. Just go through that judgment also, right? And there was also an editorial about separate High Court for Puducherry in today's Hindu newspaper. Now here, it's not that important for prelims, but two important points here we have to know is, union territories usually don't have a high court. They will be assigned to some high court, just like Puducherry. Puducherry does not have a high court. Madras High Court serves as high court for Puducherry also.